Hey folks, I am Dr. Joe Esposito. Thanks for being here. Do appreciate you taking time out of your day to spend a little time with me. And now that means I have a job. My job is make it worth your while. Because I wouldn't want you to ever listen to one of our shows and go, I didn't really learn anything in that show. Every time we do a show, every time we get together, we do a lecture, I always try to give you some walk-away point, some things that you can say, I didn't know that before. And it's interesting because my producer at the station, Ahmad, he's been with me for years now, and I don't know how many hundreds of hours he sat through many of my shows. And after every show, I said, all right, Ahmad, did you learn something new? And he always says, yes, I did. So my goal is to give you information that you can use so that you can naturally get well and stay well. And today we're going to talk about decoding or unwinding depression, making you understand what causes depression, what it is, and things that you can do every single day to start dealing with it. Because we can do one of two things. We can either ignore it and just have it in part of our lives, or we can try to get to the cause. Well, I guess there's a third thing too. We can try to cover up the symptoms. And many times that's necessary. I'm not saying that if you have a condition, whether it's headaches or neck pain or back pain or depression, that it's a bad idea to cover up the symptoms. Sometimes it's a good idea. But in the process, I want you to start thinking about what can I do to fix the problem? And that's where I want your mind to go, is I get it, I have a headache, I took an aspirin, but now why do I have a headache? I have depression, I understood, I took some medication. Why do I have depression? And then what to do about it? So whether you're suffering from depression or you're just in a crabby mood, before you start poking around in your head looking for the answers, you might want to aim a little lower. What I mean by that, you might want to think about your gut. Because this is such a key issue. And whenever I do this lecture, inevitably, I get calls or people that are at my live lectures who are in the healthcare industry, who are in the mental health industry. And they say, I never heard this before. Where can I get more information on this? Can you come work with us? Can you help us with our patients? Because so many doctors, and all doctors, we all do this, myself included, you do what you know, and then you get frustrated because it didn't work. And you think, what else can I do? Where else can I turn to help this patient? And this, I want you to think about what we're going to talk about, because chances are you're going to say, wow, that's me. That's exactly my condition. Or I know somebody with this condition, and we never thought that the two are related, the gut and the brain. So you ever hear the word, you have gut instincts, you have butterflies in your stomach, somebody makes you sick to the stomach, you go to a job interview, you start getting cramps, maybe you're going on a first date, you're all excited, you get an upset stomach. That's not coincidence. We really have our emotions in our digestive system and the brain, and they're so intertwined that you can't separate the two. The issue is that your brain itself doesn't really have nerve endings that feel pain. If I could get through your skull and through your dura and into the brain matter itself, I can get in there and poke around with a knife and you really wouldn't feel anything. Because the brain itself doesn't feel pain, but the digestive system does. So a lot of the symptoms that you're having in your gut are emotional because they're linked so closely together. And the way the brain and the digestive system work is the main nerve is called the vagus nerve, V-A-G-U-S, and it runs from your brain, it runs down the left side of your body actually, and then into your stomach and controls your digestive system. So a lot of the emotions you're experiencing, because we don't have pain fibers in our brain, we experience it in our gut. The connection between the brain and the gut, there's actually a word for it. It's called the gut-brain axis, or the brain-gut axis, depending how you want to talk about it. The gut and the brain and the gut are intimately connected bidirectionally. They have to talk to each other constantly. So if we're just beginning to understand the relationship between the digestive system and the brain in orthodox medicine or ordinary medicine. Now, science is finally catching up to what a lot of folks have known for centuries. If we go back to Chinese medicine, we talk about the gut-brain connection. If you go back into holistic healthcare, chiropractic, naturopathy, these holistic folks, have been talking about this connection for a real long time, for centuries. And finally, medicine is going, maybe these guys are right. And as a matter of fact, we are right. And that's what's cool about what I do and what my team of doctors, I'm a chiropractor. This is the first time you're listening. I'm board certified in chiropractic, orthopedics, pain management, double board certified in nutrition, BS in nutrition, a retired dietitian, award-winning author. This radio show is heard coast to coast and around the world. And so after 33 years of being in practice, not counting my education that I did, we've got a lot of experience. And so it's kind of cool that the things we knew, we the holistic practitioners knew and accepted as commonplace, are now becoming mainstream. Things like nutrition, vitamins. I remember years ago when I first started studying nutrition, 30 plus years ago, vitamins were, they called it expensive pee. If you took supplements, it was just expensive pee. That's all it was, because you peed it all out and you don't need it. And then there was the camp, so to speak, that said, well, nutrition has nothing to do with how your body works. And then there's some people that I've still read recently that sugar has no effect on children and their attitude. Come on, folks. Were you ever a child? Were you ever around a child? Did you ever give the child a lot of sugar and you saw it happen? And so there are some, quote, experts, which I question that word, saying that sugar doesn't affect your attitude and how you act. Well, wrong. Nutrition is everything. Well, it's not everything. It's part of the triad that you have to have for good health. You have to have a normally functioning nervous system. And as a chiropractor, that's my job, make sure chemically and physically the nervous system is working properly. You have to have a normally functioning digestive system, which we're going to talk a lot about coming up. And you have to have good nutrition. If you have that normally functioning nervous system, normally functioning digestive system, and good nutrition, you have a healthcare plan. Most people don't have a healthcare plan. They have an insurance plan, but they don't have a healthcare plan. And two totally different things. Many times insurance has nothing to do with health. Well, it does, because it tells you can't get the treatment that you need. That's about it. So if you understand, what we folks, the chiropractors and the holistically oriented doctors, have understood, that bacteria imbalances may be the cause, maybe a cause, if not the cause, of emotional problems such as depression, anxiety. Now, we knew to get healthy, you had to balance out the bacteria in your gut. And what's really cool is that we knew it for years. Now we're finding out why that's so important. Modern science, which we're kind of very pill-oriented, have been anyway until recently, it's kind of drifting away from that, which is good. They've proactively dismissed a lot of things that we've talked about in the holistic healthcare field. Like if you pinch a nerve, it can cause pain, but those nerves also control organs. I mean, there was a time when chiropractors were called quacks. Anything that wasn't orthodox medicine was called quackery. And now you're seeing, I have medical doctors come to our offices constantly. As patients, they want to follow us around. They just want to see what we do. I've had many medical doctors ask me if I can send some of my doctors to work with them in their offices to see patients. So those days of the divide are gone, which makes me happy, and I'm glad I'm glad we survived through it all. And it's kind of cool, because 20, 30 years ago, this would have never happened. But I digress. So we're back to decoding depression. What is it? What did we know about for years, and what's becoming mainstream, the things that actually work? So there's a lot of evidence that experts are pointing to when it comes to the complicated relationship between the brain and the belly. So let's talk about a few emotional things that you might be experiencing. And when I talk about the symptoms that go along with it, chances are, if you have these problems, you're going to say, oh, that's me. Did you read my diary, Dr. Joe? How did you know all this about me? Well, I knew it because it's you and every other patient we've ever seen in the past 33 years. It's a little humbling sometimes, but the fact is that more than, if you're in a bad mood, you may blame it on your spouse, you may blame it on your boss, you may blame it on whatever, but many times the bad mood starts in your digestive system. More than 90% of the neurotransmitters, these are chemicals like dopamine and serotonin, are actually, they serve to regulate our mood, and they're made in the gut. So if you ever wonder where these neurotransmitters come from, many times they're made in the gut. And if the gut isn't working properly, you can't produce the right amount of neurotransmitters, so you can't make the brain work. And we'll talk about that in a little bit when we talk about how digestion works. The bacteria themselves really play an important role in the manufacture of these neurotransmitters. They don't just happen. They don't just miraculously go, oh, suddenly there's a neurotransmitter in my brain and I'm happy or I'm sad or I'm emotional or I'm depressed. They have to come from somewhere. So if your gut is populated with the wrong kind of bugs or bacteria, they won't be able to make the same feel-good chemicals, which have a major impact on your mood. So the bacteria in the gut have to be healthy in order for you to have a normally functioning brain. How about depression? Let's talk about that. In fact, the gut bacteria play such an important role in creating these neurotransmitters that if you imbalance or throw off the balance in the gut, it is linked to depression, and a lot of experts now are saying that it is the cause of depression. The reason people take antidepressants is to elevate the levels of serotonin in their brain, and yet they target the gut, not the brain, because the gut is where these chemicals come from in the first place. So if we're taking medication, we've got to start thinking, where's the medication working? Okay, maybe it's working in the gut, or if it's working in the gut, why don't I just fix the gut? Well, there's a novel idea. Depression is also an inflammatory condition. In the first place to start looking for inflammation is in the gut. Because it amazes me, now that I know what I know, and I was normal once, that you could eat these square hamburgers with white bread and maybe some ketchup, which is 42% sugar, mostly high fructose corn syrup, and a meat byproduct or whatever they are made of. And somehow, some way that became eye tissue or blood vessels or liver or hair. How did that all happen? Your body is amazing how it can break down and reassemble different foods. Because I have a pretty good diet. I take supplements every day. I eat a mostly raw food diet, probably about a 60-70% raw food diet. I eat vegetables every day. I'm a vegan. I've been a vegan for 31 years. And so I eat a really good diet. And then I look at some people, and patients come in our office, and I look at their diet, and the worse their diet, this always happens, the worse their diet, the worse their health. Always, 100% of the time. And so I have to sit down with these patients, and they always say this, I haven't filled out a diet diary. And they'll hand me the diet diary, and they'll say, Dr. Joe, you're not going to be happy with me. And I say, I'm very happy with you. I'm happy that you're a patient. I'm happy that you're taking the steps to get well. Well, and then I get this one. Well, Dr. Joe, the week I wrote things down, that wasn't a good week. No one has ever had a good week, as far as I know. Because every time I go over a diary, people go, that wasn't a good week, Dr. Joe. Oh, I had a party. I had this. I'm not here to judge. I'm here to advise, and then whatever you do with that information is totally up to you. So if you're eating things like the 7 deadly sins, alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, artificial sweetener, it can start to kill off the good bacteria in your gut, which help produce the neurotransmitters. The other thing that happens is if you have a lot of inflammation in your gut, it can literally tear a hole in your gut. And you get these holes where big chunks of undigested food can be absorbed into your blood system. And once they're in the blood system, the immune system has to attack them. And you can have an autoimmune condition because the immune system kind of goes wacky and doesn't just attack the food, it's attacking the body itself. Autoimmune, it's attacking itself. And so that's when we start having big issues with the leaky gut syndrome. Years ago, I was teaching about leaky gut syndrome. No such thing, said many doctors. Now, it's the standard. Leaky gut syndrome is the cause of a lot of problems. So once again, that was in the Dr. Joe was right column because we talked about this, 10, 20, 30 years ago, and now suddenly it's commonplace. Oh, yeah, leaky gut. Oh, of course. You have tears in your intestine. You absorb big chunks of protein, cause the immune system to go crazy. And that's why when people have autoimmune conditions, it's important that I explain to them they have to heal the gut to stop this onslaught of these undigested foreign proteins so that the immune system can calm down because the immune system is just going crazy. So if you're eating a bad food, you're eating what I call the 7 deadly sins, alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener, you are causing the body, A, not to get enough nutrients, B, cause inflammation, C, cause leaky gut syndrome, D, cause the immune system to attack itself in some cases. Why would you do that to yourself? That's the question I always ask people. Why are you doing this? What is your goal? My goal, Dr. Joe, is get out of pain. My goal is to get my brain work better. My goal is to stop having the acid reflux and the diarrhea and the horrible gas and the headaches and the nausea and the blurred vision and the numbness and the tingling. And I said, okay, so you're going to have to work with me on this. My team of doctors can give you perhaps the best chiropractic care in the world. I can't claim that for truth, but I do know that I feel the best doctors around. And because I'm a patient here too. Got to remember that. I'm a patient of my doctors. So I want to make sure I'm getting the best care available. So if we give you the best care available, but you don't work with us to fix the chemistry, you're probably not going to get all the results that you want. So you got to work on the chemistry. That's the food. That's the things you expose yourself to, the perfumes, the hairsprays, the colognes, the deodorants, the carpet cleaners, the new car smell. You got to work with that. And then we work on the physical, getting the bones put back in place. Sometimes we have to work on the digestive system too and actually massage the stomach to get it to relax so you can start digesting food. And as a team, we get amazing results. But if you're not willing to do some of it, we're willing to give you just the chiropractic care, but you may not be getting all the results that you want. So you have to take some responsibility. Now, folks, if you want to make an appointment to come see us, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. My team of doctors and I would love the opportunity to be your doctors. So what I need you to do, if you want to make an appointment, go to my website right now, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, #1 Dr. Joe in the world, and we will set you up a time to come see us. You can do it right online, or you can call us during business hours, and we will get you set up a time. We accept people with all insurances, no insurances, car accidents, sports injuries, workers' comp cases, because our goal is to naturally get you well and keep you well, without drugs, without surgery, getting to the cause of the problem and not just treating the symptoms. So if you're serious about wanting to get well, get off your fanny. Because so many of you are sitting around saying, I've listened to you, Dr. Joe, for 10 years, 20 years, and I've been meaning to come see you. And I got to get off my fanny. And it's fun because every day patients come in and say, Dr. Joe, you were right. I finally got off my fanny. So get off your fanny, go to the website, drjoeesposito.com. We'll set you up a time to come see us and start getting well. And by the way, bring your friends and bring your family and bring your kids. Because kids are always bumping themselves and jerking their spines around. And if a child is straight, their body grows straight. If the spine is crooked, they grow crooked. So why would you not want your children or your family, your spouse, to have the same quality health care that you have? So we're ready for all of you. Right now, go to the website, drjoeesposito.com. So we're talking a little bit today, we're talking a lot today, about decoding depression. Where does it come from? What is it? We know the symptoms. The symptoms are easy. Okay, you go online, symptoms of depression. Well, I feel hopeless. I feel like my life isn't going anywhere. I feel like the decisions I've made are wrong. We all made bad decisions. We've all felt hopeless at some time in our lives. But that doesn't mean you should just give up. That means you say, okay, what can I do now to get over this? And sometimes that's tough because the brain is not getting the proper neurotransmitters for you to think logically. So think about this. If anyone has emotional disorders, anxiety, depression, bipolar, suicidal, anxiety is if a feeling that something's going to go wrong. That's when you have anxiousness. And sometimes that can come from pain. Because if you're in pain, it's sending a message to your brain saying, hey, something's wrong, fix me. And you're anxious. The body's like, what's going on? I don't know why am I not working at 100%? So that can cause anxiety. Depression is that feeling of hopelessness, that feeling of I just don't want to get out of bed. And so they are slightly different, although sometimes the symptoms will cross. And many times they're treated the same way. But no one that I know in mainstream anyway is doing what we're talking about today, getting to the cause of the problem and not just treating the symptoms. Talk about anxiety. That can be also an imbalance in the gut. Research published in Psychiatry Research found that those who ate more probiotic-rich fermented foods are less likely to experience social anxiety. So what does that mean? Probiotics are good bacteria. Pro meaning in favor of, or the best, pro, like professional. Biotic means life. So you're in favor of life. Many times what happens when I see patients come in with emotional disorders, they have done a round of antibiotics, maybe several rounds of antibiotics. Maybe they eat a bad diet, and it's not just the diet, but if you're eating things like commercial meats and dairy products, many times these animals are fed antibiotics. So when you're eating the animal or the meat or the dairy or the cheese or the yogurt, you're eating small amounts of antibiotics every meal. And over time, those antibiotics can kill off the good bacteria in your body. And now that can affect how your body produces neurotransmitters. So you're thinking, well, Dr. Joe, I don't take antibiotics. Every time you have a commercial hamburger, you do. Every time you have some commercial meat or dairy or cheese or butter or yogurt or ice cream or eggs, yeah, you do. And that's building up in your body, killing off the bacteria. So why would you do that to yourself? Most people don't know. That's why this show is heard around the world. Because people listen to it and they say, well, that makes sense to me now. And I want to make the change. And that's the biggest compliment I can get from somebody when they listen to one of my lectures or read my books and they say, Dr. Joe, that makes sense. Good, it should make sense. That's what we're trying to do here. So you got to get the gut right. Cognitive function. Anybody talk about brain fog or they're just they feel fuzzy in the head? A lot of times that happens after you eat too much junk food. And it's not in your brain, it's in your gut. If I had to choose one word my patients tell me when they start getting better, is they say, Dr. Joe, I got clarity. I'm able to think through things. I'm able to make better decisions. So the clarity comes back because the brain is now getting the proper nutrients from the gut. A lot of what you hear when patients say as they get better is the fog is lifted. I feel human again. I'm able to be a mother, father, spouse, boyfriend, girlfriend, teacher, because the brain fog is gone. So research from Oregon State University supports this. I hear it all the time. They found that when they fed mice a high-fat, high-sugar diet, they saw a shift in the gut bacteria that was linked to the loss of cognitive flexibility. What that means is that's the ability to adapt to changing situation. Cognition is when you think about things, you process it. And it also affected short and long-term memory. The brain has got to receive a lot of energy to function. It really uses up a lot of fuel. In the presence of inflammatory chemicals like alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener, it affects the body's ability to create this energy, and it doesn't work as well. So what happens in that situation is you develop kind of like static on the line. Again, nerves are wires, and they carry electricity, they carry messages. So you're not getting the full bandwidth. You're running at a slower bandwidth. And you're taking longer and longer to kind of download or upload we used to call it my Rolodex, right? I have to go through my Rolodex and think about something. So you're just not downloading the information fast enough. And we understand that gut bacteria are the mediators of inflammation throughout the body, including the brain. So if you have a bad diet and you get leaky gut syndrome, or you eat things like wheat or dairy products, which cause a lot of inflammation in the gut, that inflammation can become systemic. What that means is it goes through the whole system. And if you have inflammation in the brain, it kind of fogs the brain and it can't work properly. That's why so many patients over the years have said, Dr. Joe, you're a miracle worker. I cannot believe that one person was able to change my life so much. Well, my team of doctors and I. And I talk to them about it, and they say, well, no one ever told me that my ADD, my anxiety, my depression, my eczema, my brain fog might be due to something as simple as wheat and dairy products. And something as simple as just giving up wheat and dairy products, many patients bounce back so quickly, and they just think that we're the smartest people in the world. Well, you just got the information that they pay for. You got it for free. Cut out the wheat, cut out the dairy, and watch what happens. And I would say this, if I'm wrong, I'm wrong. So what? I'm wrong. You gave up some wheat and dairy for 30 or 60 days. Even 30 days is probably enough. And you'll say, I gave up wheat and dairy. I didn't feel any changes. No one's ever said that, by the way. But if you're the one who says it, you say, so what? You gave up wheat and dairy. Now what? Go back to wheat and dairy again. But you won't, because I know what I'm talking about. Say, if I'm wrong, so what? But if I'm right, which I am, then you want to continue to do it. So chemically, you can really mess your body up by putting the junk in there. And a lot of even cravings come from that. There's a part of your brain, you know you're not supposed to eat things. I've done it. You've done it. Don't lie to me if you say you haven't. You're looking at something going, I shouldn't really eat that piece of cake. And then another part of your brain is going, eat the cake, eat the cake, eat the cake, eat the cake. Of course you want to eat the cake. It releases dopamine and pleasure centers in your brain, and so you get high from it, and it gives you that momentary pleasure and then long-term regret. Anybody ever do something short-term and get pleasure out of it and then long-term regret? I bet you have. And a lot of you do it every day when it comes to food. There's other things too, of course. But food is the thing that you can have long-term regret from. Says, research from the Society for the Study of Ingestive Behavior, how about that, found that feeding rats high-fat meals led to gut bacteria shifts, and they didn't even feel like they were full. And that happens too. When you eat junk food, you ever notice that? You can eat a bunch of junk food and not feel full? That's because the brain, when it's hungry, it's not hungry for food, it's hungry for nutrition. And if you can give it a lot of food, but if it's not nutrition, that's not going to give you that full feeling. The leptin isn't going to go up into the brain, up into the hypothalamus, and the hypothalamus says, I'm full. Your brain is saying, you know, dude, I know you put a lot of stuff in your gut, but that's not what I wanted. I want nutrition. Things like Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source. If you're not doing anything else, the minimum amount of nutrients you should be taking in is Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. If you don't know what they are, they're 2 powders. They're on my website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe, #1 Dr. Joe in the world, and you can look at them. They're also on Amazon if you have an Amazon account. Folks, if you're not willing to do anything, or if you want to do everything, at least get the Super Greens and the Essential Source. I can almost promise you that you're going to love them. Because most people after a couple of days go, wow, My body was so starved of nutrition, I'm finally giving it super high concentration of nutrition. That's on the website, drjoeesposito.com. If you want to make an appointment to come see us, and folks, you need to, get off your fanny, stop suffering needlessly. Go to the website, drjoeesposito.com, or just Google Dr. Joe. Set up a time. We accept people with all insurances, no insurance. We want to be your doctors. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. Hey, don't go anywhere. We're going to be right back. Hey, folks, this is the Dr. Joe Show, and I am the aforementioned Dr. Joe Esposito. And I'm glad you could spend a little time with us today because we're talking about something that affects a lot of folks, either directly or indirectly. Either you have it or you know someone who does, and that's depression. And we're decoding it. We're breaking it down and talking about what causes it and what to do about it, more importantly, because it's easy to say, well, this is what causes it. What do I do now? And so many times I find that I'll get a diagnosis on a patient, and the diagnosis says, you have blank, whatever it is. Well, what are we going to do about it? I don't know. All right, so let's talk about a treatment plan, because our goal is to get you well and then keep you well. And you have to have a normally functioning nervous system, a normally functioning digestive system, and a good diet in order to obtain and maintain health. And you know what? It's not hard. It's easy. And it's so inexpensive. This is the kicker. Everybody's complaining about insurance and high deductibles and co-pays and family. I get all that. However, if you're healthy, you don't have to use your insurance or not use it as much. And you're going to save a ton of money on the other end. So I'm going to teach you the things that you need to get well. And chances are, very high chances, that you'll spend a whole lot less money on healthcare. Missed days from work, kids calling in from, hey, Mom, I'm sick, come get me at school. I got to leave work. I got to clock out. I'm not going to get paid. I got to drive to the school. I got to drive the kid home. I got to sit with the kid. I get it. It's real life. But what if we can reduce that for you, your family, and your friends? We can, because all the studies out there clearly show that if you take care of yourself, you spend less money on healthcare. So we're talking about brain function today and depression. And the brain is changed when you don't eat the right kind of foods. It induces inflammation, and the brain regions responsible for feeding behavior are not working properly, and so you start getting cravings. And that's what happens if you put certain foods in your body. They stimulate the pleasure centers in your brain, like the nucleus accumbens, and you start getting high on it, and you want more, and you want more. And so that's where the problem comes in, is that logic goes right out the window. If you're an addict, and we all are, if you're an addict, logic isn't really part of what you're doing. You throw it out the window because you want more of the thing that's giving you pleasure. And ironically, that's the thing that's going to cause the most amount of grief. And so what do you want? You want that quick fix. I want that quick fix of pleasure, not concerned about long-term. When you start thinking about health as a long-term journey, you can then understand why you don't want to do these quick fixes. But when you're eating bad foods, the alcohol, meat, sugar, dairy, coffee, soda, and artificial sweetener, that induces inflammation in the brain, and that's a problem. Plus, bacteria may also be at the helm when it comes to steering your health. We are mostly bacteria. We are over 90% of our DNA in our body is not ours. It's bacteria's. So we got to take care of these guys that are keeping us alive, the ones that are along for the ride here. Research published in Bioessays found that microbes are able to manipulate us into eating things that they want to eat. So if you have a bunch of bad bacteria, they can manipulate you into eating the junk food that they thrive on. Bad bacteria crave junk food. Now, these germs are able to manipulate your taste receptors and make us feel bad or send out rewards to the control of our body. And so we want to go do that. Oh, I got a reward. I felt good. I want to go do it again. So the bacteria are little sneaky little buggers. So we got to take care of them. Now, if you're skeptical that this little tiny bacteria can control your behavior, this is an interesting study. Gut microbes are so powerful that they can make a rat fall in love with a cat and then, of course, get eaten by the cat. There's a chemical called toxoplasmosis, and it's an organism that lives in the digestive tract of the cat. And when the cats go to the bathroom, they excrete this germ into their feces. To get back at the cat, the microbe manipulates whatever host picks it up, for in this instance, the rat. So what happens is the bacteria want to stay in the gut of the cat. The cat makes it come out when it goes to the bathroom. So it kind of like a sneaky little thing said, oh, I want it to stay in your gut, but you're not going to let me. I'm going to drive you crazy. So when a rodent is infected with toxoplasmosis, the bacteria changes the brain in the rodent, so it begins to see the cat as a potential mate. Isn't that weird? Presenting itself as a mate to the cat, and then the rat, of course, gets eaten. So the toxoplasmosis can actually change the brain of the rat into thinking that it's in love with a cat. So it really is interesting what these little bacteria can do. And so you're thinking that you're in control. You're not. The bacteria are in control. They control the brain controls you, and you do stupid things, or you do depressing things, or you do anxious things, or you do things that you regret. If we get the gut fixed, and I believe that this is the future of mental health care, that we got to fix the gut. We got to get people on the right food. We got to rebuild the bacteria in their colon. And where else can you get things that can kill bacteria? Well, how about chlorine in your water? Chlorinated water, chlorine kills bacteria, right? You put it in your pool, you put it in your spa, kills bacteria. Chlorine bleach kills bacteria. So if you're drinking chlorinated water or swimming in a highly chlorinated pool or a hot tub, this chlorine is getting into the body and can kill off the good bacteria as well as the bad bacteria. Not a good thing. So we got to stop doing that. At least get a filter for your kitchen sink. And this way the water you're washing your food in, the water you're drinking is going to be filtered. We have filters on my website, drjoeesposito.com. It's a good start. You can also do whole house filters. So it's important that you understand that you're getting these chemicals all over every day and what you need to do to fix that. We have filtered water here at my office. So we have filtered water everywhere. Filtered water at the studio. I know I like going to the studio. We have a big water filter there as well. And it's not only good for you, it's good for the environment as well. And it keeps the good bacteria alive. So I got to talk about how the food is digested. And we're going to talk about ways to feed your brain, things that you can do to actually feed your brain. So what happens is you eat food. And as soon as you put it in your mouth, saliva starts to mix with the food when you chew it. And the saliva starts to break down carbohydrates, complex carbohydrates into simple carbohydrates. Once it goes into your stomach's job is to not necessarily digest carbohydrates, it's to digest proteins. So the stomach has acid in there, hydrochloric acid, pepsin, pepsinogen, and it breaks down the proteins into something called amino acids. And the amino acids then go into your small intestine, where the proteins are broken down further because your pancreas releases digestive enzymes, protease, amylase, and lipase. And pancreas squirts out protease to break down proteins, lipase to break down fat, and amylase to break down carbohydrates. And so then it's broken down even further. Then it moves a little further down your small intestine. Your gallbladder, hopefully you still have one, squirts out bile to break the fat down even further. And then what happens is it gets absorbed. That's a normal, healthy digestive process. So many times what happens with patients, and I see this, I'd probably say about 85% of our patients have this, the stomach spasms and pushes up against the diaphragm. And when the stomach pushes up against the diaphragm, the stomach now can't break the proteins into amino acids properly. So these partially digested foods pass from your stomach into your small intestine. There, the pancreas is trying to pump out digestive enzymes. The gallbladder is trying to squirt out fat-digesting chemicals like bile. But it wasn't, the beginning of the assembly line didn't do their job, so the rest of the assembly line can't do their job. So now we have a problem. Because the proteins break down to amino acids. Amino acids become neurotransmitters. So, for example, you get tryptophan. Start with tryptophan. Tryptophan gets into the body and combines with vitamin B6, which is produced by what? Bacteria in your gut. Back to the bacteria again. So the B6 combines with tryptophan and creates a chemical called 5-HTP. 5-HTP becomes serotonin. Serotonin is a neurotransmitter that helps you calm down and focus. And when you're depressed, that's what we're talking about, decoding depression today, what do we need? Serotonin. Most depressed people don't sleep well. Why? Because serotonin becomes melatonin, which helps you sleep. Pretty wild. What happens is at night, your melatonin levels go up and your cortisol levels go down. Cortisol is released by your adrenal glands, and it's your stress hormone, but it keeps you awake. If you're sleeping normally, melatonin goes up and then starts decreasing, and 6 to 8 hours later, now the cortisol levels start to go up and you wake up. But if you're not getting the proper amounts of melatonin, the cortisol levels remain relatively high, and so what happens is you can't sleep. It all goes back to the gut not breaking proteins into amino acids, or the bacteria not producing B6 to create 5-HTP to create serotonin to create melatonin. Boy, that's a lot of chemistry right there, isn't it? But it all goes back to healthy bacteria and a normally functioning digestive system. So many patients, when they come in, will have acid reflux, heartburn, burping, gas, bloating. And what we need to do in those cases is we need to manually adjust or pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm. And when we do that, a lot of things happen. Stomach relaxes, proteins get broken down into amino acids, they get absorbed, the neurotransmitters work. And also people with digestive problems oftentimes are ticklish. Why are they ticklish? Especially around your ribs, you're protecting your digestive system. Don't touch me. Stay away from me. And so when I poke you there, the same nerve that carries pain carries ticklishness. It's called the lateral spinothalamic tract. And so the brain perceives ticklishness as an attack, and then you protect yourself and you roll around and try to get away. So ticklishness is really, if you tickle somebody, it's like a form of torture because you're stimulating the lateral spinothalamic tract, which the brain perceives as an attack on the body. So it's important that we get the stomach pulled away from the diaphragm. Then as chiropractors, we always check the spine because the brain is sending messages down the spine, out the nerves to the organs. And if you have a pinched nerve going to your stomach or your spleen or your kidneys or your prostate or your ovaries or your toenails, those organs aren't going to work right. And every day, patients send me emails. You can send me emails, by the way, if you have a question to my website, drjoeesposito.com, and I'll answer your questions for you. And they send me questions as, Dr. Joe, I have numbness in my arm. What do you think it is? Well, it's probably a pinched nerve. My leg is weak. It's probably a pinched nerve. I got back pain, neck pain, shoulder pain, headaches, blurred vision. It could be a pinched nerve. So the easiest, quickest, cheapest way to fix things is unpinch the nerves. And in most cases, major majority cases, patients get more than the results that they even wanted. So we always want to check for pinched nerves, step number one, in all healthcare cases. Then we check the digestive system. You breaking down your proteins properly. If not, we may have to adjust or manipulate the stomach and the colon. It's just a massage we do from the outside of the body, and then everything relaxes. Oh, now that starts to work. And then we get you on good nutrition, because we got to talk about ways to feed your brain and feed the bacteria in your gut. So there's probiotics, which are good bacteria, and then there's prebiotics. Prebiotics feed the bacteria. They aren't the bacteria. They feed the bacteria. So just like you need, fruits and vegetables and nuts and seeds and vitamins and minerals and nutrients to feed your body, bacteria need prebiotics. They're carbohydrates that they digest. So what happens is when you eat the prebiotics, they feed the good bacteria, so the good bacteria become stronger and make more babies. They make more good bacteria babies. And now you start to colonate your body with this good bacteria, which then controls brain function and neurotransmitter production. So where do we get prebiotics from? You get prebiotics from things like, maybe fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds. Look at that. The same thing I've been preaching to you for the past 35 years. Another reason you want to do it is because it gives you prebiotics. Where else can you get them? Well, how about Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source? Another reason you should be taking Super Greens and Essential Source, because it has good bacteria, it has the probiotics in it, and it has the prebiotics in it, which feed the good bacteria. One of the prebiotics is called fructooligosaccharides. I just like saying it because it's a cool word. But fructooligosaccharides are prebiotics. And you can get that from fruits, vegetables, nuts, and seeds, other prebiotics. So another reason to take Super Greens and Essential Source is because it's not only about 10 servings of raw fruits and vegetables in every scoop of Essential Source. Not only does it alkalize your system, not only does it give you mega doses of minerals that your body needs to function normally, not only is it a good source of omega-3 fatty acids, it's a complete multivitamin, has enzymes in it. Enzymes break down inflammation, which help the brain function more efficiently if there's less inflammation. It tastes great, relatively inexpensive. I take a scoop of each and mix them together, shake it up with some coconut milk or almond milk, and drink it at least once a day. You want to get crazy, throw in a frozen banana, make a smoothie out of it, some frozen berries if you want. Great for kids, by the way, because kids can take it as well, because if you put a frozen banana in there, they eat it like a smoothie. And boy, imagine getting your kids eating 10 servings of raw fruits and vegetables a day, plus prebiotics, probiotics, digestive enzymes, complete multivitamin, minerals, omega-3 fatty acids, iodine for the thyroid. Your kid's going to be a super kid. And I joke about that, but it's true. I can't tell you how many parents have come in and said, I've given my kids a Super Greens and Essential Source, and I see a change in as short as a week. I said, really? Teachers are saying, wow, they're better. They're focusing better in school. Their attitude has changed. Everything changes when you give the body proper nutrition, proper digestion, and a normally functioning nervous system. That's why I love what I do. Every day I wake up and I'm more excited than I was the day before about getting into the office and treating patients. And my team of doctors are just like that. Because when people listen to us, and that's the key, you got to do it. I tell patients, listen, give me 60 days. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong. But if I'm right, you'll do it forever. And most people say, okay, I'll do it. I'll give you 60 days. What do I got to lose? Nothing to lose, everything to gain. That's the excitement of getting well and keeping well. So folks, if you want to make an appointment to come see us, we have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. We would love to be your doctors. So go to my website right now, drjoeesposito.com, and book your appointment. Get off your fanny. Stop dragging fanny around. I'm trying to keep it clean here. And, say, you know what, I'm sick and tired of being sick and tired. I don't want to be in pain. I don't want to be tired anymore. I want to work on my mental health. Get on the website right now, drjoeesposito.com, and book an appointment. You can call us during business hours. We're more than happy to set you up a time, answer your questions. We accept people with all insurances, no insurances, car accidents, sports injuries. If you want to get well and you're reasonable, we're more than happy to work with you. So do it right now. Stop suffering needlessly and bring your friends, bring your family, and bring your children. Because children need to get themselves healthy, especially in today's environment. Now more than ever, children are sicker than ever. This is the first generation ever that has a shorter life expectancy than their parents by 5 years. 5 years less they're going to live than you statistically. Unless you do things like get them on a good diet. I can't say Super Greens and Essential Source is definitely going to save their life, but I believe it is. Get their nervous system working. The studies are out there. There's millions of studies showing that nervous system, digestive system, and nutrition are the keys. No one's ever put it together for you before like we have. So the website again, drjoeesposito.com. I've never seen a car accident ever where the occupants weren't damaged if the car was damaged. So get off your fanny. Do it right now, drjoeesposito.com. So I want to talk now about ways you can feed your brain, right? Was it Jefferson Airplane, right? Feed your head. Well, what we want to talk about is feed your head. So a couple of things you can start adding to your diet because people say, well, Dr. Joe, I don't know what to eat. So what if we start giving you some brain-boosting foods? How about asparagus? Excuse me. Wow, got excited. Nearly half of the people living with depression have low folate levels. Asparagus is loaded with folate. Asparagus is also key to preventing, I shouldn't tell you this, a hangover. In 2009, Korean researchers found that asparagus extract increased levels of important enzymes, there's that word again, that break down alcohol. Enzymes are the key to good health, folks. And asparagus is one of the foods you really want to eat. You ever wonder why asparagus is a brunch food? Sunday brunch? Why would you have asparagus? What a weird thing to have. Well, whether you knew it or not, it was actually helping with the stupid things you did the day before. How about avocados? Getting enough vitamin E can shield your brain from Alzheimer's disease. One study found that people who got their vitamin E from foods, not supplements, lower their risk of disease by 67%. So whole foods are better than synthetic supplements. That's why Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source are concentrated whole foods. Avocados are rich in vitamin E and will add a bit of vegetarian protein to your diet. It has a little bit of protein in it too. It's good fats, it's vitamin E, it's very filling, it tastes great, relatively inexpensive. When they're on sale, you can get them 2 for $1. So avocados would be something you might want to consider adding to your life. Beets. Depression-fighting root vegetables. They bring a major source of B vitamins onto the table. They help your brain act quickly to process issues because a lot of people are deficient in B vitamins. Now, don't toss the tops, the greens. Saute these folate-rich tops for brain benefits. What I do, and this is interesting too, at radishes, I remember years ago I was dating a gal, and I almost always have a garden, and I picked some radishes, and I made a radish salad, and I took the tops, and I cut them up, and she said, what are you doing? I said, oh, I'm going to put them in a salad. She goes, no, you throw those away. I said, why would I want to throw away the tops of the radishes? She goes, I don't know. I just always threw them away because my mother threw them away. And I said, try it. And they're very bitter. It's very good for your liver, by the way. And she tasted them, and she goes, wow, these are really good. All these years, she was throwing away the tops of the radishes. No need to do that. Tops of the beets, very good. Saute them up, put a little garlic in there. Garlic is antibiotic, antiviral, and antifungal. It's pretty cool. Try to avoid canned beets or canned anything, really, because canned foods oftentimes are lined with something called BPA or bisphenol A, and that's a compound linked to things like heart problems, hormone imbalances, and even cancer. Beets are also high in nitrates, and nitrates convert into nitric oxide, which opens up your blood vessel and increases circulation to your brain, your reproductive organs, your arms, your legs, and that really helps with depression as well. So beets are high in nitrates. Arugula is even higher than beets. So nitrates are pretty good stuff. Berries. When you're mixing up your super greens, your essential source, if you want to make a smoothie with them, throw in some berries. Strawberries, raspberries are chock full of phytochemicals. They help rid your body of environmental chemicals and plastics and pesticides. Blueberries are rich in memory-improving antioxidants. So do your best to choose organic, though, because the thin skin on berries, and the fact a lot of berries have bumps in them, the pesticides can kind of hide in there and be absorbed into the berries. So when you're doing berries, that's one of the foods I'm going to insist that you do organic. And you can buy them frozen. They're relatively inexpensive, really good for you. Coconut oil. First, once thought, oh my gosh, it's a saturated fat. It's bad for you. Researchers now know that it's actually good for you because it has medium-chain triglycerides that help your body burn fat. Now, if you eat too much fat, you're going to get fat. It's the bottom line. So my concern is like these high-protein, high-fat, low-carb diets. It's okay short-term because the body, if you're not putting any carbohydrates in the body or very few, the body then uses oil or fats as a source of fuel. It creates ketones. Well, that's all well and good, but it's not the preferred method for the body to work with. And so I'm okay with it, but eventually you're going to have to get off it because I don't think anybody can live on a carbohydrate-free diet for any length of time. It's a good idea to cut back on your carbs, absolutely. But if you're eating carbs and you're eating fat, the body's going to use the carbs first and then store the fat. So if you're going to do it, you got to cut out all the carbs. And that's why I'd rather have a balance. And the body needs nutrients. When it's hungry for nutrition, not food. And that's where Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source come in. Because it gives you tons of nutrients. And a lot of people tell me this. Say, Doc, since I've been taking the supplements, I'm saving money. And I said, what do you mean? They said, well, I'm not eating as much food. And my cravings for junk food have gone away. So what's happening is I'm actually saving money because I'm eating less food and I'm eating healthier food. If you want to throw a kick into the Super Greens, the Essential Source, throw in a little curry. This spice helps fight inflammation. Animal studies suggest curcumin, which is the active ingredient in curry, helps clear up Alzheimer's causing plaques that form in the brain. These twisted spirals of protein that form in the brain. Now, you can sneak a little bit into your sauces, into your salad dressings, your marinades, your soups, your hummus. Some people, I've done it before. I've put it in the Super Greens, the Essential Source. It does change the flavor. It's not as wonderful with the curry in it, but if you know that turmeric, it's called, turmeric is the thing that's in the curry that works, and curcumin is the thing that's in turmeric. You can throw a little bit in there, maybe a half a teaspoon, maybe less. You can do that. I'm going to leave you on a good note. I'm almost out of time here, but how about some chocolate? This is a good brain booster. It's loaded with flavonoids that can help improve brain function, but the key here is this. If you're going to do chocolate, it has to be organic. And it has to be a small amount, maybe the size of your thumb joint, your thumbnail joint, that top joint. And it has to be organic, and it has to have a high cacao content, like 70 or above. And it's got to be dark chocolate, not milk chocolate. Now, I'm not giving you permission to go crazy on this because it does have some antioxidants in it, but so does other foods. But I don't want to be a mean Scrooge to you. I want you to like me. So I'm going to cut you a little deal. A little bit of chocolate every now and then is not going to kill you. So other foods, we talked about the foods you can eat. Of course, Dr. Joe's Super Greens, Dr. Joe's Essential Source, oatmeal. Oatmeal is very good. Gives you fuel. It makes you feel full. Extra virgin organic olive oil is something you might want to add. We talked about avocados, nuts, seeds. So if you have a normally functioning nervous system, normally functioning digestive system, and good nutrition, you are on the right path. And then fixing the digestive system. If you have acid reflux, go to my website if you don't know what I'm talking about. drjoeesposito.com, look under articles, go into Dr. Joe's articles. I think it's under blog. And about the 6th article down somewhere in there, I wrote an article on GERD, gastroesophageal reflux disease. And it talks about the techniques we do in our offices to massage or pull the stomach down away from the diaphragm and how effective it is. It's really cool, and it'll give you a little bit of breakdown there too. But the starting point always, Dr. Joe's Super Greens and Dr. Joe's Essential Source. Those are on the website. They're on Amazon if you have an Amazon account. We have a seasonal booster, which will help if you have a cold or flu symptoms, I find. We have some tonics in there to help stimulate the immune system. We have bowel cleansers. Go to the website. Spend a little time there. My books are there. Eating Right for the Health of It. Prescription for Extreme Health. Great guides. Hundreds of hours of radio shows archived there. All no charge. My gift to you. Make sure you subscribe to my YouTube channel. Follow me on Facebook. Follow me on Instagram. We want to be your doctors, folks. We really do. And the website's there 24 hours a day, drjoeesposito.com. If you want to make an appointment to come see us, again, drjoeesposito.com. Do it online. You can call us during office hours. We accept people with all insurances, no insurances, car accidents, sports injuries. Folks, we want to be your doctors. We want to help you get well and stay well. I've never seen a car accident where the car was damaged where the occupants weren't. So if you're in a car accident, you need to come see us right away to get checked. We have offices in Marietta, Duluth, and Stockbridge. We want to naturally get you well and keep you well. Hey, thanks for listening. Tell your friends about the show. We'll catch you next time.